how nice was it? And maybe this is just me, and I know that we've kind of been through the ringer with the Jazz this year, but how nice was it to get a laugher?
Yeah.
It was a blowout. It was an easy win, Jake, and I think it's exactly what the NBA gods ordered.
It was nice to go to bed with 10 minutes left and not feel like, oh, they're going to lose this game. They're going to lose this game and the world's going to burn to the ground. It was nice not to worry about that last night.
Yeah,
So,
I think the thing with the Jazz right now is it needs to be as drama-free as possible.
Yes.
Because I think the thing that we continue to see with this ball club is that we all know that there's issues of chemistry in the locker room, and we get it, right? It's been a rough season. But we need to stop having players-only meetings. We need to stop talking about Donovan passing to Rudy, and Quinn Snyder needs to stop denying that that's an issue. And we just need to embrace where the ball club is right now and just do your level best to do your level best. Do what's got to be done. And I think if the Jazz just put all that aside and play basketball, they're still a fairly good team.
yeah.
Are they the Nets or the Suns? No. Are they an elite team? No. But they're a team that's capable of beating Dallas in round one of the playoffs, and that is your goal right now. Get to round one of the playoffs healthy,
Yes,
with everybody available, and let's see what happens. You know, make shots, play some defense, and who knows?
yes.
That's where this Jazz team is. I just don't understand why this particular incarnation of the Utah Jazz seems to embrace so much drama.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's a cultural thing with the team. I think that I mean, everybody on the team deserves blame for the drama. I mean, it just is what it is. I think a lot of people want to make the case that they don't have a true leader. They don't have this. They don't have that. And the truth is, it takes all 15, 16 guys on your roster to get the job done and have good culture in the locker room. And I think these guys are young men. Like, honestly, these are not people who are 50 somethings. You know what I mean? They're not, some of these guys are not at their peak maturity levels. And so the point just is that, with Rudy and Don and that whole relationship, whether, they just got to get it together and be professionals. I mean, it just is what it is. I mean, that's what you're asked to do. I mean, again, let's approach this conversation from the simplest form possible, which is you play a kid's game for millions of dollars a year. I mean, you're literally getting paid $41 million, $28 million, like millions of dollars to play a kid's game. And I think that sometimes we forget that. We take it so seriously that we forget just how simple the task is that they're being asked to do. With that said, it is professional sports, so you have responsibility. You have an impact on the community. So all of this to say that they just need to grow up a little bit and be professionals. Again, you don't have to like each other. Don't have to like each other. No one's asking you to play Warzone outside of the NBA together. No one's asking you to hang out together. But what we are asking you to do is run a good pick and roll. What we are asking you to do is, throw it to Rudy when Rudy's got Jordan Poole under the basket, literally sealed, and he has no chance of defending that play. We are asking you to do that. So that's what I'm going to be looking for in the playoffs, honestly. I'm going to be looking for Don to make the right basketball play. Take your pride out of it and make the right play. Whether that's throwing it to Rudy under the basket, whether that's throwing it to Rudy for an easy lob, like those high percentage looks you saw a lot last night. And this is something I think is really important to note. When you get laughers like last night, where it's OKC and none of the mainstays play really outside of Rudy and Bogey, as far as starters are concerned, you've got Mike, you've got Don, they're out last night. Like, you've got a bunch of guys out. When all the young guys are playing, Rudy gets a lot of lobs. Rudy gets a lot of attention. And that's what I think needs to happen as far as the starting group is concerned. When he's open in certain situations, you got to feed him, because those are, what is that, probably another 10 points a game just on like some lobs and some passes under the basket. And who the hell knows what that'll do for your fortunes in the playoffs. So I just hope that they can get on the same page, play good basketball, and give it their best effort. And whether you lose in the first round, you lose in the second round, at least you can say, hey, we did our best, and it just is what it is.
You said something there that makes you a scumbag.
I know.
So you buy into the fact that Donovan Mitchell is intentionally not passing the ball to Rudy
Yes.
Gobert.
Yes.
You do.
Yes. Because he's dude. You can't be.
Okay.
Here's what you can't run from if you're Donovan Mitchell. And I'm not saying that I blame the guy for this. I understand why he feels this way based on Rudy's behavior. But here's what you can't run from. That play against the Warriors where Don is on the strong side wing, like the near side wing, and Rudy is clearly got Jordan Poole sealed under the basket. Like, no question about it. Should have thrown it to him, chose not to throw it to him. You can't run from that. I don't care if you're looking to your left. You're a basketball player. You can't tell me, dude, don't sit here and say that he didn't see Rudy Gobert on that play. Come on, dude.
I just think
Come on.
it's one of those things where Don and most of this ball club are just not conditioned to throw him the ball. I mean, I don't think it's like, screw him. I think it's much more of that's not where they ever look. And I don't think it was that they ignore him. It's just not what they do. So why now would you turn and throw him the ball? You know what I mean? Like
I think that's convenient. I think if you've ever played basketball in your life, you are very cognizant of what your big is doing. You can see him. I don't know. Maybe we'll just disagree on that one, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I think that we can agree to disagree. I have no issue with that. But what I am telling you is that my feeling is, and this is just my opinion again, obviously, it's just my opinion. I think you're in a situation where you have choices to make. And your choice generally is based on what your habits are and what you practice. They do not practice throwing Rudy Gobert the ball into the post.
Mm-hmm.
They don't. That's not something they've regularly done. It's not something they've done all season long. They practice pick and roll and lobs. That's what they work Rudy in. So I think you're asking Don to do things that they don't normally do. So why now all of a sudden would he just pivot and do things they never do, especially when things have ended so poorly? Do you advocate for them throwing the ball to Rudy?
Not like regularly, but I think there are, like I was saying last night, like I think there are certain situations where you should throw it to him. Like I think in very certain circumstances, you're not going to throw it to him when he's on the block with his back to the basket. That is a low percentage look. He does not have good footwork. He can't dribble the ball. He can't get his own bucket 9 times out of 10. But when you are able to work your offense in a way where he gets a switch, where you've got a 6'3" guard on him and he's 7'2" or whatever he is.
Right.
I mean, that's a high percentage look in the NBA. Why would you not just throw it to him and get those 2 points? Like that, to me, if you do that, even if you were to do that 4 times over the course of a 48-minute game, once a quarter, that's still extra points that you're scoring without really having to put any effort in, and that's why I say, like, there are a lot of ways. I am certainly no Rudy Gobert supporter, right? Like, let's be clear. I wouldn't have him on my team. I don't think he's one of the best bigs in the NBA. Like, he can play defense in a certain type of way that gets him a lot of credibility on the defensive end. But I don't think he's one of the best bigs in the NBA, like it or hate it. That's just my opinion. That said, he has a use, just like anything else, which is when he's in the restricted area and he's got someone sealed, throw him the ball. When he sets a pick and he's rolling to the basket, throw him the lob. He can go and get that. There are ways to use him to get easy possessions, and that's the thing. They go away from this. Like, I agree with you. They're conditioned to throw him lobs in the pick and roll. They're conditioned to play with him a certain way, but they go away from that when things get difficult, which is, I guarantee you, we will see against Dallas.
There's no doubt about that.
So that's why I say, like, when you're playing the Warriors and you are able to get them there, because the Warriors play small ball, so you're playing a team that plays small ball. When you're in that situation, you can get a switch. You got to know these opportunities are going to show up before the game. You got to know that and look for it, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where, like we joke about Mo Bamba on this show all the time, but like he's no Mo Bamba. Like, I mean, Rudy Gobert has a highest best use.
Shout out to Mo Bamba.
Right? Like, yeah, exactly. Like, he's not like just some crappy center from Poughkeepsie.
Yeah.
He's a guy that is a skilled defender, But when he's got a guy like Jordan Poole pinned under the basket, you got to throw him the ball. I agree with you on that.
Yeah.
Having said that, this team needs to stop talking about throwing Rudy Gobert the ball and play fluid, natural basketball.
Yes.
That's the thing that worries me is I don't necessarily believe they're capable of that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that's who this team's been. So expecting them to do something that they've never done is our problem. That's our fault.
Yeah.
Like that's we're placing, in my opinion, irrational expectations
Yeah.
on the Utah Jazz. And I think as fans, I think that's what you do. I think you have, like today, I believe the Cubs can win the World Series. It's not fucking happening, but I do. They're undefeated.
Start talking shit.
Yeah, they're undefeated now, right? They're not going to win the World Series, and the Jazz aren't going to win an NBA championship. But I also think that you have to understand that when you're looking at Oklahoma City, thump those boys. Who cares?
Yeah.
Win by 100 if you can.
Yeah.
Because Friday night, it's a whole new world. Because Book and CP3 aren't going to sit out like they did last night. I mean, you are looking at the best team in the NBA coming to town.
Yeah.
So, and maybe they do. Maybe the Suns are just, in chill mode. They know they've got the best record locked up. Like, I don't know. My guess is you're gonna see Book play on Friday night.
Yeah, they'll play.
Yeah, that'd be my guess. All right, let's get your comments in here real quick though. Chaboy went nuts last night.
Yeah, Kevin Durant. Best player in the league. Just saying.
Triple-double.
Yep.
You think he's the best player in the NBA?
Yes.
Who are even the candidates?
Giannis, Durant, Steph for sure.
LeBron?
I don't know, man.
Or I'm sorry, as they say on the show, LeBum.
Le GM.
He's a bum.
Yeah, I mean, he's in the conversation. He has to be. I mean, he's still capable of putting up 50 in an NBA game. You're in the best player at the league conversation. Yes, Joel. Jokic has to be in the conversation.
Yeah. MVP.
Yeah, I think that's probably the group. I think anybody other than that is probably second tier.
I don't know. How do you quantify? I think Kevin Durant's the best scorer, no question about it. I mean, to me, there's not even much of a conversation.
He's developed this ability to just, I mean, obviously he's been taking over games for a long time, but it just feels different now. Like there is it's almost like, I don't know who to compare it to feeling wise, not game or like how he goes about it, but like there are moments in games where you just know, hey, they're going to give the ball to Durant and he's putting it in the hole.
And it's over.
And it's over. You're not stopping it.
It's over.
And that's very reminiscent of the Kobe vibe, the LeBron as a Miami Heat vibe, like that type of thing. That's what it reminds me of. And Giannis has the three now. He's got the mid range, but I don't know. Giannis in the
Kevin
most
Durant is
crucial
better
moments,
than Giannis.
In the most crucial moments, Giannis is still a guy who's going to drive to the basket to get fouled to get his. Where Kevin Durant can get you from anywhere at any time. And I think that's what kind of puts him over the edge. But again, I've been a Kevin Durant guy since forever ago, so I'm probably biased.
I don't think you're being biased. I think Kevin Durant's a better player than Giannis Antetokounmpo right now. Yeah. I just think that Giannis is probably at his ceiling offensively, and that's a pretty high ceiling. But I look at Kevin Durant, he evolves every possession.
Yeah.
There is something that you see him add to the bag. He's become a much more consistent free throw shooter, in my opinion. Him talking about that shot last year in the playoffs with his toe on the line. I don't know if you saw that. Mm-hmm. He was on a podcast yesterday. I only saw a couple of clips of it. But he was talking about how he knew the moment he stepped down the line. Like he knew it had happened when he let the ball go. And to me, when you can feel the game that way, I think that's what makes the very best elite.
Yeah.
They have just an inert feel for the game, a natural ability to understand time and space. And I just think that Kevin Durant is the best scorer. I think he's the best scorer in the history of the NBA.
Yeah.
I think he is. I'm waiting for the absolute clutch moment. I think when it is Kevin Durant versus everybody else and he comes through.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for the Michael Jordan moment.
Yeah.
Because I do think that he is on the verge of being a better player than LeBron was in his prime.
Mm-hmm.
If Kevin Durant wins another championship.
LeBron has 4?
LeBron has 3, I believe.
I think he's got
2
No,
in
LA was 4.
LA was his fourth.
LA was his fourth.
You're right. Yes, because he's got 2 in Miami, 1 in Cleveland, 1 in LA. My bad. 4.
He's got 4.
If Kevin Durant wins 4, and then I think he could get there. I have no doubt that Kevin Durant can win 3 or 4 more titles in his career.
Yeah.
It's a matter of, who is he relying on? Does he have to rely on Kyrie Irving? Well, if that's the case, he's in trouble. If Kyrie's always going to be his running mate, and if Kyrie embraces that role like he did with LeBron in Cleveland, okay, we're in a different conversation now.
I mean, I think they like playing together for sure, and I think that Kyrie, it kind of feels like they finally started to find their groove in their relationship on the floor.
Yeah, it does.
And I think that I don't know how to feel about that because I feel like my opinion is they could get to the finals. I'm not so sure they could win the finals with their current team, especially with the question mark that is Ben Simmons. But I do think that Kevin and Kyrie could do some damage in the postseason.
But why do you? I don't know. That's an interesting statement. I mean, Kevin Durant's got 2 rings right now.
Mm-hmm.
And if he's got 2 now, I have no doubt he can win a minimum of 2 more.
Mm-hmm.
And I would think 3. Because at some point, this Brooklyn team's going to put it together.
Yeah.
They're going to spend the money. They're going to put it together.
Yes.
And I think if they had, it's not Ben Simmons. It's guys like Joe Harris.
Yeah.
If you had Joe Harris, if you had depth.
Because Claxton's coming along nicely. For
absolutely he is. But, Blake Griffin's a very limited player at this point in his career. And I don't think, that you have a whole lot off the bench. And by the way, Kevin's only 33 years old. Yeah. So he's probably got 5-6 more years left in the league.
Yeah.
He's got to win now.
I think he's got 5-6 years left at this level, and then he can play for,
I think he's got to win. He's got to win this year or next year. He won't. I doubt he wins a championship this year.
Yeah.
I just don't see that.
It would be special if he did.
Yeah, I don't see that happening. But I think I think Kevin Durant and the Nets will. I feel really good that next year all this garbage is going to be over. The Harden stuff, the Kyrie COVID stuff. I mean, I think their hill is so steep to climb because they're in the play-in tournament.
Right.
And they're not the home team in the play-in tournament right now, mind you. They're going to play that play-in game on the road.
Yeah.
It's a difficult road to hoe when you got to play that extra game. And then if you lose that game, you got to play 3 games minimum. It's asking a lot.
Yeah.
And then to be, the 7th and 8th seed, you're probably going to play, Milwaukee. You're going to wind up running into Milwaukee again. And
which I hope. I mean, that was a great series, and I think that Kevin Durant's got unfinished business,
And I think the Nets are better than Milwaukee right now. I know that's crazy, and a lot of people call me crazy, but I'm telling you, it'll just be interesting to see how that all plays out. But all of that to say, Kevin Durant's only 33 years old, so he's got time. If he wins a couple of more rings, and obviously if LeBron picks up another one, I think Kevin Durant is very, very capable of being the best player of this generation.
Yeah.
I think he is very capable of being a better player than LeBron James. Now, I think there's so much talent coming behind those 2 guys, but guys like Devin Booker and Donovan Mitchell are not in their generation.
They're the next generation.
Yeah.
You look at KD, LeBron, Steph, Kyrie, that cut of guy is what we're talking about.
And I think there's no doubt Kevin Durant's better than Steph Curry.
Yeah.
I think he's the best player in the NBA right now. I think he's the most gifted scorer we've ever seen.
It's him and LeBron.
Yeah.
It's those 2, and that's it. There's nobody else.
It's an interesting conversation. I think there's no doubt about that. All right. Let's see who's in this morning. Edgar Garcia, what's up, my man? Snuka, where you been? Good to see you, Snuka. The blind sportsman said, good dub by the Jazz, even though it was OKC. Stop with that. Like, we do this every day on this show.
Yeah.
Even though. Just take out the even though.
Win. Like, what's the issue?
Good dub by the Jazz last night. Period.
That's it.
Clarkson is figuring out how to pass. The Jazz hopefully are not so reliant on the 3, and baseball's back. Yay. Yes. He says in parentheses, overpaid babies. Funky Orient says hi. Erica Schultz says good morning. Rudy Sanchez says, morning, fellas. The Jazz took care of business like they should have. Exactly. Funky says 2 games left. Jazz either face Golden State or Dallas. It's going to be Dallas. There's no doubt it's going to be Dallas. Cody Strickland says, morning, guys. Mesh says, good morning, young gentlemen. Mesh, good to see you. Edgar Garcia says, Rob Manfred equals a freaking chump bucket Astro toy that gets banged on. Okay, I like it. That's an Astros cheating reference.
Right.
Forrest G says, morning, Neville93, what's up? He said, I went to the game last night and the bench did great. That was a relief. Yeah, exactly. Giggity, what's up? Can't wait to go to the Suns Jazz game tomorrow. Oh, you're going to be in Salt Lake City. Okay, good. Absolutely good. Go to Beto's for a burrito. Luisito Diaz says, this Jordan Clarkson we need in the playoffs. Somebody can feed the ball. Yeah, I mean, that's something where you can caveat it by saying it was Oklahoma City.
Mm-hmm.
What has Jordan Clarkson become against the Suns? What has Jordan Clarkson become against Dallas? Because when you're playing for nothing against OKC, you're going to play a lot more freedom.
Yeah, it's easy to just run around and score.
Yeah. Forrest G says, Dunford Donuts must deliver to Daddy Gobert when he has a smaller man sealed under the basket. No excuses. Look. Daddy? So he was saying Donford Donuts. Donovan.
My bad. Sorry. My bad.
But I'd like to say Dunford Donuts are the best donuts.
Yeah, they're phenomenal.
I love Dunford Donuts. Eric and Raleigh says, Quinn Snyder, Bond villain. Your thoughts? Wow. He is gaunt. Yes. Am I the only one who thinks Quinn Snyder needs to eat some fettuccine?
Yeah, he needs some carbs in his life.
My man needs some pasta. Edgar says Durant can take over anywhere, anytime until his toe says, hold my beer. Oh,
yes. Yeah, it's true.
Exactly.
I mean, you know.
Truth.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that at all. I mean, you ain't wrong.
What do you want me to say to that?
Yeah, George Mashkia.
Uh-huh.
You're just going to be George. It's my opinion, and I think Kevin Durant in 2014 was the MIP.
Most improved player.
Okay. Scott Howard says, my issue with KD is his injuries, though. Well, but has he had a ton of injuries? I mean, yeah.
What do you mean?
Like, he's had a couple of catastrophic injuries. I mean, obviously, the broken foot was a problem. The Achilles was a problem. And he's had some maintenance after those injuries. But I think Kevin's been, for long stretches of his career, he's been durable. The guy's played a hell of a lot of basketball.
Yeah. Dude,
so,
yes.
I mean, I think I wouldn't say he's injury prone.
He's not injury prone, dude. I mean, he tore his Achilles. Like,
yeah.
So does that mean that because Klay Thompson tore his Achilles and then tore his ACL, then tore his Achilles, that Klay Thompson's injury prone? No, Klay Thompson's been one of the most durable players in the league.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we need to be careful who we label injury prone when they have one major injury.
Yeah. And Garcia says, morning, yo. What's up, N? George says, KD lost 3 full seasons and won 4 scoring championships. It's amazing.
Yeah.
And Garcia says, who's more disappointing, the Jazz, Lakers, or Nets? Oh, the Lakers by far. The Jazz are not disappointing. I just had this conversation the other day. Like, the Jazz are not disappointing. They are who we thought they were.
Yeah.
We talked about them being a bottom of the Western Conference
and everyone
team.
said, oh, you're casuals.
You're just haters.
And you're an idiot.
You're haters.
And,
You're a casual.
Yeah. You're
a
jerk.
Come on.
They're not disappointing. I mean, this is who we thought they were.
Yeah.
So, at least not to us, The Lakers are the most disappointing team in the NBA. There's no doubt. I don't think the Nets are disappointing at all. I think they've been through the grinder.
And I think depending on what they do in the postseason, they could be one of the most inspirational stories of the year.
Jeremy Bolton, what's up? Michael Burton says, I'd take KD over LeBron because I can see that killer sniper in KD and will play when not 100%. LeBron needs to be 95 before he'll suit up.
Dude, he's taken a beating over this.
I disagree with it.
He's taken a beating over this.
I think LeBron plays hurt on a regular basis. I think when you're in his position, why would you be forcing your way back into the lineup? I mean, you don't have a lot of years left on that motor.
Yeah.
And he wants to play with his son. I wouldn't be forcing my way back either. You're not going to win a championship with that team.
Yeah.
You're not. So I have no problem with him not playing. If he's done for the year, I have no problem.
Yeah.
And maybe his tweet on April 1st was legit. Maybe. I don't know. eBay the Sofa Surfer says Jazz are back, baby. Well, maybe. Stopped at Beto's last night when I got into town, Giggity says.
Okay.
My dude.
All right.
Order them up. Let's go.
Fine.
Let's
go.
go.
You guys are forcing me to do things now that, I wasn't planning on doing, but now I'm doing. It just is what it is.
Yep. Scott Howard says, House shooting arrows and Whiteside talking a fair amount of trash. Good to see them having fun or act like you've been there. What's your opinion? I've never liked talking shit to OKC. And like Bogey waving goodbye to the crowd in Houston. Really? That's the worst team in the NBA. The OKC is one of the worst teams in the NBA. Hassan Whiteside in particular does this all the time. I've never understood it. Like, why? Like, who are you flexing on? By the way, OKC doesn't have anybody that weighs over 100 pounds on the roster. Let's not flex on them after we dunk. Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, I think when you're a role player, it's your job to bring energy, and that's what those guys think they have to do. But I've never been a big fan of the whole shooting arrow thing or like flexing on dude. Like the other night, who were they playing? Hassan dunks one time and they're down like 20. I mean, it just was.
And he's flexing.
It's like, dude, get the hell out of here, man. You're getting your ass beat by this team and you're like flexing. Like, come on, dude. You have to do it at the right time, you know?
Totally agree. And Garcia says, in number 2. Okay. Jeremy Bolton says, well, Bulls were doing awesome until Caruso came back. Just saying, don't hate the sender. I think the issue with the Bulls is that Zach LaVine's out of gas. I mean, that team's out of gas. Like the issue is the Bulls play very small basketball. Like, I mean, when you have Nikola Vucevic as your number 1, I mean, he is soft. He is the definition of a soft big.
Yes.
They can't bang is the problem. The Bulls cannot, because, I mean, the guys that you rely on, I mean, generally, the Bulls, when they were healthy, when you were January and you were rolling and you were leading the East, like everybody was healthy, and then they got ravaged by COVID.
Yep.
The Caruso injury absolutely changed the trajectory of their season. I mean, there's no doubt about that. The hard part is you're not a team that can endure because you just don't have those you don't have the stars to do that.
Yes.
And this is my issue with Zach LaVine. Like, Zach is a guy who believes he's the best player in the NBA, and I love him for it, but he simply is not the best player in the NBA. He is a guy, in my opinion, that has a highest best use. And that highest best use is turning him loose as long as you have other people that can score. And right now, they don't. I mean, like, you're relying on Ayo Dosunmu in Chicago, who's a rookie, to carry a pretty good amount of scoring. And Zach's missed a lot of time as well. I think DeMar DeRozan is
clutch. Everything you want.
This Russell Westbrook versus DeMar DeRozan thing. And I think this is why there's a chance the Lakers would be open to moving on from LeBron, because a lot of people blame LeBron in LA for blocking a DeMar DeRozan acquisition and choosing Russell Westbrook instead.
Yeah.
And it's been a flipping disaster. You have a guy in DeMar DeRozan that was at one point being talked about as an MVP, and who's been one of the best players in the league this year, certainly in the Eastern Conference. And you have Russell Westbrook, who's been one of the worst players in the league, and I mean the entire league.
Yeah.
So I don't know. The Bulls, the thing I'm thankful for with the Bulls as a Bulls fan, there's a front office in place now that knows what they're doing. Like, they have a plan. Billy Donovan has an idea of what he can do with the roster that he has. But they are what they are. I mean, I think it'll be interesting to see what moves they make in the offseason, because a lot of people think they are going to trade Zach in the offseason. So we'll see what happens there. Scott Howard said, agree. Hassan and House were picking on a JV team last night. Absolutely they were. eBay says, hottest teams in the NBA are the Celtics, Mavs, and Suns. But I want the Sixers versus Jazz in the finals. Not happening. No, it's not happening. I agree with that. And Garcia says, LeBron signing a 2-year deal with the Jazz before retiring in Cleveland. Any thoughts? Why do you smoke crack so early?
Yeah, man. He's going hard on that.
No thoughts. Michael Burton says, SGA and Giddey will make OKC a better team. I love Giddey's game.
Yeah.
I do.
He's fun to watch.
George says, I think the playoff Daniel House must start and play more minutes than Bogdanovich. I think you're crazy. I think, again, we saw it we saw it last night. When Daniel House is starting and he's a first option, he makes a lot of mistakes.
Yes.
He's a role player. Bogdanovich actually played well last night. I think he had 27 points.
Yeah.
You know, you when he, I mean, I'm pretty sure he led you in scoring last night.
When he gets the ball, he produces.
Yeah, like I don't know, like is this morning the morning to be talking about benching Bojan
Yeah,
Bogdanovic?
why
Where the
can't
hell
we
is this
just,
coming from?
bro? Why can't we just say it was a nice win?
26 minutes, 7 of 11, 2 of 4 from 3, 11 of 12 from the line, 5 boards, and 27 points. Like,
What are we
what are we
about?
talking about?
Yeah.
I have no problem with that. I just enjoy the win. Like, I think Jazz fans are scarred emotionally, and so they can't enjoy wins. There's just no way. Royce Buckets O'Neal. Exactly, Brett. Burton SGA is an absolute stud, but he needs help. Yes. SGA. Well, I mean, Giddey's got to be healthy. They have so many injuries on that. Come on.
Yeah, they're a young team.
Forrest G says, do you believe Daniel House will be able to sustain this high level of play in the playoffs? No, he won't. He will come back to the mean. He's a journeyman. And the thing that he's allowed to do on this team pretty much unchecked is run the floor aggressively. He plays defense aggressively. They only ask him really to do one thing, which is stand in the corner and shoot the three and play defense. He's a 3-and-D guy.
Yes.
Those guys they have value.
Dime a dozen.
They have value, but yes, they are not hard to replace.